Huberdeau on that line with Backlund and Coleman, he fits there.
What are you telling me? Was this your brilliance that you put together? What are you telling me?
It's not my brilliance.
No one's brilliance. We were kind of thinking, geez, he's your best offensive player. You're going to put him on a checking line. How's this going to work? But then we also talked about, well, it can be a stable place for players to play. We've seen guys do well on the flanks of Backlund's lines for like a decade now. But really what it is, I think, Rhett, is that we had gotten to the point where I think everyone had almost given up that this could be a helpful player, never mind a $10.5 million player, like someone that could contribute to wins. And suddenly it's 5 points in 3 games and he's shooting it a little more. And that goal that seemed to have the weight lifted where everyone embraced him. I mean, you start to look like a different cat here, which is good because I think we hit rock bottom last week.
Yeah, probably 2 weeks ago. But
sure. Yeah. The benching.
Most of the season, it hasn't been a lot of positives.
The benching for sure, right? The benching, the third period benching, that's the low.
And it's the public of like that clip going viral and us talking about it, right? Like that has to be rock bottom.
Yeah. So it was us then. The getting benched is one thing. Us really crushing him on social media and on the internet. Oh, hell hath no fury.
You're welcome, Flames. Throw us on payroll.
But we talked a bit about it last night on the show. Is there anything to it that? Because over time, and we kind of listed some of the names. You've got Lance Boma over the years, guys that have gone and played with Backlund.
There's something to it.
Does it allow you to just, well, I know those guys are going to play, they're going to be back. They're going to play defense. They're positionally sound. They 200-foot game, that whole thing. It allows you to just play and not think. Because, and I don't, look, we're not getting carried away. But 5 points in 3 games, and you've noticed him in a positive way multiple times during hockey games. This is the first time in a year and change that this has happened. So again, is how much credit goes to Backlund and Coleman, obviously, but certainly Backlund for just being a steadying force for him on that line.
A lot. I mean, I don't know percentage-wise, but yeah, he's done it for everyone. Backlund was on the best line in the NHL or a top 5 line in the NHL for a while.
I really love when they have Mangiapane, Coleman, and him. The 2 iterations of the 3M line when it was Tkachuk and Frolik, and then Tkachuk and Mangiapane that played with them. Before that, we talked about like the David Jones, Lance Boma's like career type offensive outputs, like not great players skill wise, but it just seems to be a spot where things are simple and you end up at the right end of the rink.
For a defenseman, it's like finding a defenseman that you don't have to think about what he's going to do.
Like Tanev when he's healthy.
Right? Like you play with guys where you just kind of know. And I feel like Backlund's that, where yes, it might not be Johnny Gaudreau, Dipsy and Dancy and all that, but you know exactly how he's going to play. You know where he's always in the right position. He plays the right way and does the right thing and is always there in support. Yeah. Easy game.
Yeah. And
Mangiapane can play whatever you want. Just because he's with Backlund, you say, well, maybe he's Mangiapane's a hell of a player.
Yeah, and look, if you need to, if Huberdeau is playing well with someone else, you leave Mangiapane there for sure. But Mangiapane, to your point, can work on a lot of different lines. They've been hunting for a place for Huberdeau to look good for 90+ games here, and this might be it.
And have they tried? Have we seen this?
No,
he was on Backlund's line a bit last year. I think it was who was on the other side. I don't think it was Coleman. I don't know.
Because I really don't. I was thinking about it after after we finished the show last night. Yeah. Of all the combos and tinkering and tweaks that we saw, I don't really recall him being with Backlund for any amount of time.
Yeah, he finished the year there, but everything was ugly there.
Yeah.
He also spent a lot of time on Kadri's line, and that was no good at all.
No.
He and Lindholm haven't worked. It's
pretty
like
much anybody
options,
right? Pretty much anybody else. It hasn't worked. And you know, he, like I say, he's noticeable. He was a noticeable forechecker last night. Oof. Turning pucks over. He laid out Brandon Tanev for. It's
Where's
just little things. If it's any other fan, being like, "What are we talking about here?" I mean, what? I get it, but if you're a Flames fan and you've watched Flames hockey the last year and a bit, this is a noticeable step forward for him. And and again, I'm happy for the player because he has to. He'll be feeling it. It's like, okay, this is. I don't know what's been going on, but it's starting to feel like it's coming back. Thank God.
You're happy for all involved down at Saddle Dome Way or whatever the hell they call it, because for the team, you don't need just a dead space on the roster making 10.5. You can't have that on. You can't have that on your bingo card. Whether you're trying to make the playoffs or sell guys, or regardless, you can't have that on the bingo card.
Well, the other thing that I think was telling, when he scored against Vancouver, it was like the way his teammates celebrated. That told me that they want this guy to succeed. It's not like he's lost the room where like this guy is such a, I'm just done with. Like, it's not that at all. It was like, yes, here we go. And that was, I think, a little bit of a look. You always say watch the guys celebrate when they score, and you've talked about Kadri, and I think Zeri's really brought him back to life. But similarly, the way that bench reacted to that Huberdeau goal, I thought told you they want this to work. They've not quit on this guy. They don't think that he's a detriment. They really want him to get going, and here he is. By the way, Pike's in the comments and was talking about some of the combos last year. We'll throw that up in a second.
Because, and again, it sounds like a little thing, and I'm just going to just two things here because Frank Seravalli was talking about it yesterday, and I'll take his word on it. When Trey Turner goes to the Philadelphia Phillies, and of course Frank's a Philly guy, and Trey Turner is an all-star, but when he gets there, things aren't going well, and Philly fans can be rough. But when he starts to play better, hits a home run, this sort of thing, the crowd was really into him. You could feel that the crowd really wanted him to succeed, and then his play started to take off from there. And if you're kind of, again, thumbing your nose at it and saying, well, of course, teammates are going to be excited for you. But imagine, though, if you're Jonathan Huberdeau and you're struggling, and I'm guessing he carries this thing like a backpack full of rocks everywhere he goes. You score that goal. What if your teammates just kind of come over and, hey, attaboy, yeah, that sort of thing. You can imagine how that would feel, as opposed to everybody jumping on him in the corner like, fucking rights, man. Let's do this. Yes, let's go. That would have to feel so good on a personal, mental level for him. The crowd roars louder than an ordinary goal for him. How it like what 90% mental, 80% mental. You can tell he is smiling and feeling it right now. And on that side, like I say, I'm happy for him, because I think it has to have been a rough ride on the mental side for the last year. Yeah.
And I think it got to the point where we'd kind of just given up and said, look, it's not going to work here. That this ain't it. It's, you're just gonna have to live with this. So it also feels like found money in a way. It's a $20 in the ski jacket. Like, well, I didn't see this.
Yeah,
like, because it's been almost 100 games of him being ineffective. So it feels great. And you're right about the fans. They're smart enough to know if this guy can operate like a $5 to $8 million winger, that is a huge ad, because he's been looking like a replacement level winger up until the last little bit here.
They were gonna Patrick Laine him at one.
Yeah.
And nobody cared. It was like, well, go ahead.
Good.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking he had 3 hits early in the second period last night. I don't know that I can recall 3 hits in his career here.
I think that just means he's back feeling like he's part of
feeling it,
right?
Yeah,
like you're involved in
thing, right?
Yeah, and it's goofy, the old confidence thing, but it can take you a long way. It's a hot air balloon, Dean, or you a bucket tipper. You got a little. You got to fill that balloon, get that thing floating.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long-form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.